Okay, great. So, can you hear me? Can you see me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So, let's begin today's session then. Keep the back and neck straight. Gently close your eyes. Start observing your breath. Just staying focused on the natural flow of your breathing. Keep the body aligned and stable. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Slow, long, and deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. Prepare the mind for chanting Om, followed by the Shanti mantra. Inhale deeply for Om. You can repeat the mantra after me. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaः. Sarve santu niরাः. Sarve bhadraः पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग्. Inhale for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join the palms together in front of the chest and rub your palms together. Place them over the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms, open up your eyes, start coming back. Smile. Namaste, everyone. Let us begin today's session. Okay, so yesterday we talked of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, right? And we completed that topic yesterday. And we also discussed like how we can, actually see the vrittis as being a part of our own life, the way in which, the mental fluctuation is being caused. We can actually categorize what is actually going on if we become aware at that point of time. So today we are also, again, we are going to discuss a very important topic, which will, again, tell you and give you more insight into how you are, who you are, more than who you are, how you, act in different situations and why it is happening. So today's topic of discussion is Trigunas. There are three cosmic qualities, that we talk of, right? So let me just go to the basic background of this thing. So when you study the Sankhya philosophy, remember in the beginning of the classes, I told you Sankhya and Yoga, they go together. One is theory, one is practical, right? So I'm talking about the theoretical aspect of the yogic practices. So Sankhya philosophy, right? And when we see the Sankhya philosophy, we see that over there, there is this mention of two aspects, which is the Purush and the Prakriti. So I will write this down also. So Sankhya believes, everything is composed of Purush and Prakriti, right? So Purush is the, we can say the consciousness, right? And the Prakriti portion is the nature, right? So as per Sankhya, for some unknown reason, there was union of these two things, the energy part and the matter part. That is how also you can understand this. And this caused an imbalance in the matter part, basically. So as the both of them came together, came in contact, the evolution process immediately began. Basically, before that, all three gunas, they were in balance, right? But as soon as the Purusha came in contact with the Prakriti, right? Purush is P-U-R-U-S-H-A and Prakriti is P-R-A-K-R-I-T-I. So when these two came into contact, the process of evolution began in the Prakriti portion, right? So there was further division, and this further division, when we do yogic practices, we try to, trace back up, basically. So this division, this evolution that took place, so when this evolution started taking place, the imbalance in the gunas, gave rise to the further evolution process, basically, right? So these three cosmic qualities, they exist in all of us, right? And they manifest in different manners, right? So when I will tell you the quality of each and every guna, you will see how it is manifesting for you. But each thought, action, if all the circumstances around you, everything around you and your own being is influenced by these three gunas, right? So these three qualities, you are highly influenced by them, and the goal of the yogi is to rise above the influence of the trigunas, right? So not getting rid of the trigunas because it is a part of your own being, but to rise above these fluctuations, right? So the influence of these three gunas, when you rise above them, that is like when you are, you know, that is the whole aim of practicing yoga basically. So there is a very famous text in the beginning also when I gave you the definition of yoga. I told you about Bhagavad Gita, right? So this topic has been elaborately discussed in Bhagavad Gita. 𝐕𝐻𝐴𝐺𝐴VAD, Bhagavad Gita, GITA. So you'll find the mention of three gunas in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. So Krishna ji again, he's trying to explain Arjun why again he has to step into the battle, right? And I will have a separate class on Bhagavad Gita where I will tell you the entire story also. But this conversation was happening because Arjun was not willing to fight, right? So when Lord Krishna, he is explaining to Arjun why it is important, right, to fight. So he mentions that these three cosmic qualities and how we are influenced by them, what is their influence on us, and then he talks of the yogi. The yogi is the person who rises above all the influence of all these three, and then he describes the qualities of such a yogi, right? But we are mostly concerned with what these three qualities are, how they are influencing our own life, right? So the three qualities are sattva, rajas, and tamas. SATTVA, sattva, RAJAS, rajas, and TAMA, tamas. Right, so in your therapy classes, you must have by now studied Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, right? These three doshas that are present in the body, right? So I'm mentioning this because the three gunas are somewhere like somewhat the same, like not the same thing, but somewhat very similar to the concept of the three doshas, where overall one guna we will see that we have like more of, right? And these vary throughout the day also. So one thing is that most of the personality will relate with one guna a lot, and you can also relate with two gunas. So basically those two will be dominant within you, and the third one is going to be suppressed, right? So and also you will also see that during the day they change, right? Like in three doshas also, during different parts of the day, the doshas also, like the dosha which is dominant is different during different parts of it, right? So sattva guna, let's first talk about the sattva guna, the first guna. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna ji mentions, Lord Krishna, he mentions that the sattva guna is the highest guna of all three of them, right? But now you understand that you have to be free from the influence of all three of them, right? So your first aim right now should be to move more towards the most preferable guna, which is the sattva guna, right? And eventually you have to become even free from the influence of the sattva guna, right? Uh, but the remaining two gunas which are there, it's like you have to put work on them in order to move towards the sattva guna, right? So when we talk of the sattva guna, we see that sattva guna has these particular qualities. So the spiritual quality is a very major quality of the sattva guna, right? So a person who is very sattvic in nature, you will see they are very spiritual. When you come in contact with such a person, you feel very, peaceful and calm, right? You feel very balanced and very clear and sorted when you are in the presence of such a person. So sattvic person is very, very like, peaceful, right? There is a lot of the quality of sattva immediately, brings along with it the word illumination. So it's a very, it's a quality where you are able to, be free from ignorance. So illumination, because you are working towards being free from ignorance. So illumination, such a person is very caring and loving, right? So sattva quality overall is a very pleasant quality, right? And such an aspirant, is very respectful. Such an aspirant, like such a person who has a very sattvic quality, is mostly, understands and works towards the spiritual practices, because there is this understanding that spiritual practices, contribute a lot to their being, right? Also, such a person, on a bodily level, will be free of toxins, will be very healthy, right? So health is a major indicator. Physical health is a major indicator of the sattvic quality, right? The mind of such a person, as I told you, very spiritual, very positive mind, right? There are no negative, like the intensity or the frequency of the negative thoughts is very less when you are in sattvic quality. You are mostly in that positive thinking state of mind, positive mindset, right? I'll also tell you a few more qualities which you can like write down. So it's a very loving and happy kind of personality, right? There's a lot of wisdom. So, sometimes you talk to someone and you feel that you can take that kind of advice from them. So you find, they have the wisdom. Like when we go to our gurus, right? So we know that they have sattvic quality dominant, right? So we know we can seek their advice. They have that kind of knowledge, right? So yes, there is a lot of harmony, and there is like the mind is very stable and quiet at this point of time, right? There's a sense of deep peace, right? And sattva is the quality which is connected with the color white. Okay, so you will see a lot of spiritual leaders and spiritual people in general wearing white. So white really, if you are aware, if you have white around you and you are aware, right? So it can induce that sattvic quality in. So that is one of the ways, like, surrounding yourself with white, you will see that your mind is much more peaceful when you are wearing white, your walls are painted white, right? Just inducing the color white in all the subtle ways in which you can in your life. Now that you know it is related, your mind will instinctively, bring this thing up. Okay, white, okay, something, right? So I still remember, when we were studying back in the day. So we had a particular uniform, when we used to go for our yogic practices, like our classes. So we had a particular uniform, and We used to wear a white t-shirt, like a uniform was white t-shirt and blue lower, right? Or maximum black lower. No other colors were like, and totally plain, right? So throughout that whole duration when I was studying, I was every day I was wearing white, and white had a lot of impact on all the practices that we were doing. You know, when we were doing asanas or when we were studying something which was being transmitted to us. So overall, I saw that the color was also contributing a lot to the kind of perceptiveness that I had. So I really love wearing white. That is why I love wearing white. Whenever I get a chance, I wear white. And when you see somebody who wears white, even your eyes are very like, there's a very soothing kind of feeling that you have when you see somebody wear white or you come in contact with something that is white. Because overall, generally speaking, white has that quality, does have an impact on us. Colors have immense impact on us. That is why there are a lot of therapies that exist. You would have heard of color therapy. Colors really do, influence our body and state of mind. So whenever you are like in that state of mind where you want to move more towards your spiritual journey, start introducing more white into your life, and you will actually see a difference, right? So sattvic, when it comes to food, so all these things, have different aspects they come into. So food is also like can be categorized in these three gunas. So sattvic food is generally very easy to digest, right? So you will eat it. It is nutritious but easy to digest. So in India, we have this dish called khichdi, right, where we are mixing, pulses, right, and rice together, right? Dal and rice basically together, and we put a lot of vegetables and we cook it in ghee, right? So it has high sattvic quality, right? So food also, all the food that you eat, like vegetables, so raw or boiled vegetables, fruits, all of these things have sattvic quality within them. Just a moment. All of these things, they have sattvic quality within them. So consume such food, you will see you are energized. So main point of eating food is that it gives energy to the body. So whenever you see you eat sattvic food, you feel energized. Your body is not drained after eating the food. So your body is quickly digests that food and it gives you high source of energy and it keeps you active, right? So sometimes, when we eat certain food, it makes us very lazy and we just want to go and sleep. So that is not sattvic food. It will fall under the other two categories. But sattvic food, generally, will see if your consumption of food has changed. It's mostly it is vegetarian food. So non-vegetarian is out of the picture when we talk of sattvic food, right? So when you consume this kind of food, you will see that you are overall, like the state of the mind, your breathing, your body, all of these things are going to get impacted. In fact, when you are practicing yoga, it is recommended to eat sattvic food only because it will have a direct impact on your flexibility. So if you consume sattvic food throughout your practice, like suppose for this 1 month, you decide to consume only sattvic food, right? You will see that the rate of the increase of flexibility or the control over your breath is much better. And if you eat tamasic or rajasic food someday, you will immediately see that your flexibility is impacted, your breathing has changed completely, and the state of mind is quite chaotic, right? So today's world, the main problem is that fast food and junk food is being pushed forward so much that people across the world are facing and are struggling with mental issues. It is food plays a very important role, like when you are talking overall about your health. right? So shifting towards sattvic food, inducing vibe into your life, studying, like reading books which are spiritual in nature rather than, fiction and all other types of books. Giving time to your yogic practices, these are things that are going to drive you towards the sattvic quality. When we look during the day, so early morning time and sunset time, these are the timings when the sattvic quality dominates. That is why generally you would have seen your teachers also say that either practice early in the morning or during sunset time. So these two times are recommended because overall in the nature and in because you are a part of nature, your state of mind will be sattvic in quality, right? So you will progress in your spiritual practices if you practice during these timings of the day. Like so, early morning time, 4 o'clock. You would have heard the relevance of 4 a.m. and waking up and doing yoga practices at that point of time. So it's because sattvic quality is quite dominant at that point of time. So if you any day you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, you will see your mind is really calm and relaxed. So immediately thoughts don't start coming up. It takes you a while. In the morning, the mind is very sensitive, right? So it takes you like the mind will not be chaotic at that point of time. If you take a noon nap and you wake up, you will still see that the mind sometimes becomes a little bit chaotic, right? But morning when you wake up, the mind is very, very relaxed because it has sattvic quality. So now when you practice, do yogic practices at that point of time, you will move ahead in your spiritual journey, right? So morning and during sunset, that period of time is quite beneficial for you to go for all your spiritual practices, and this is the reason sattvic quality dominates during this point of time, right? So next one is the rajas quality. So a lot of people have Rajasic quality these days. So we'll see Rajas people are very active, right? And Rajas people are, they are very passionate, but they have a high sense of attachment, right? And because there is such a high sense of attachment, you see that they generally suffer a lot because of it. So the sorrow and grief that is caused in their life, in the life of a Rajasic person, is because of their high sense of attachment, right? They're quite passionate, which is again like it is their driving force. So people who are very passionate about whatever they are doing, it's a driving force for them. But this passion brings along with it a high sense of detachment. So if you would have ever dealt with somebody who is really passionate about what they are doing, you will see that they are disturbed also very easily. If something doesn't go as per their plan or what they are, or the lines along which they are thinking, they are very quickly disturbed because they are very, very attached to whatever they are passionate about, right? So again, this is again extreme quality, but some people are in that extreme and some will find themselves in between. Most of us have two qualities dominant within us. So you can figure out which one you fall under, right? So Rajik people, their ego is quite high. You will also see this thing. They're very high on ego. Rajas is the quality of movement and activeness, right? So there is a lot of movement kind of dynamic kind of personality basically. They're very greedy also in nature, right? So Rajik person is going to be very greedy, right? Some more qualities I will in this. So there is a lot of restless activity, like I told you. You will find certain people who sit and their leg is moving again and again, or they move their hands again and again. It's the Rajasic quality. So I'm not saying that somebody who does this is a Rajasic person. So like I told you, during the day, there are different periods of time when each and every quality dominates. So at that point of time, maybe their Rajas is very active. So sometimes even we do this thing, move our hands, move our legs a lot, or maybe, we just cannot stop that activity, right, of the body. It is kind of becomes a little bit compulsive at that point of time. So understand that you are undergoing the Rajasic influence, right? Yeah, they have high ego. They are very, very passionate. When it comes to Rajasic food, so let's come to the food first. So when it comes to Rajasic food has a lot of spices added to it. So if you in your house, you add a lot of spices to your food, so same food can become very Rajasic in nature when you add so many things to it. Why? Because you will see that when you add a lot of spices, there is a lot of heat that is generated in the body. And as a result, when you consume such food, the activity in the mind also increases a lot. So you will see such food mostly being consumed by sports people. Like, people who are playing sports, they have certain diet. So you will see they mostly consume food which has Rajasic nature. Why? Because it gives them that uh, sense of movement and activeness in the body, right? So all such kind of food in which you are adding too many spices, which is making the mind restless at that point of time, will come under the category of Rajasic, right? So next time when you eat something, observe how your state of mind is after you consume that food. You will immediately understand what is Rajasic food, what is Tamasic food, and what is Sattvic food. Okay. Yeah. Colors, when it comes to colors, in some places the mention of only red color has been associated with Rajas quality. So if, you are wearing red or you are surrounded by red, right? So that is the Rajasic quality dominating in you. And uh, other places, they have like this belief that all the colors except black and white have Rajasic quality, varying degrees of Rajasic quality with it. So suppose right now I'm wearing green, so this has some degree of Rajasic quality. But mostly red is associated with the Rajas quality. So next time when you wear red, see the kind of impact it is having on you. Like your state of mind is going to be such that the passion, when we talk of passion, also red is associated with a lot of uh, passion, right? So red overall has that quality, right? Then the third one is the tamas, right? So when we talk of tamas, Lord Krishna said that this is the lowest of all three qualities. So you have to work towards the other, have to put in a lot of work to reach the sattvic quality because it is the lowest. So before I start with tamas, some remedy for rajas. Let me just mention the remedy for rajas. If you are of a Rajasic quality, you can go ahead and channel that energy. So Rajasic people have a lot of energy, right? Just because of their ego, they are not able to give it the correct direction. So what you can do is, in order to work on the ego, you can go ahead and go for practices like seva or service. So whatever cause you believe in or you are very passionate about, go and serve over there. And not like, some service with some expectation. Just go and serve, which will help you to lower down your ego, right? So for such people, service or going into the practice of Ishwar Pranidhan, which we talked of yesterday, surrendering to God, that is an amazing practice for such people. If they go into the practices of Bhakti Yoga, where you devote yourself, again, there's a sense of surrender when you are devoting yourself. You devote yourself to some God. It is a great practice to work on the ego, right? And to lessen that basically, right? Channeling your energy and giving time, making time in your life for activities which are sattvic in nature. Because you have the energy, all you have to do is direct it, give it proper direction, right? So making time for such activities, practicing yoga every day, it's amazing for Rajasic people. And even the, yesterday when we were talking of Kriya Yoga, I mentioned Swadhyay. So Swadhyay is also a great practice where the person, one thing is reading and giving most of their time to texts which are spiritual in nature. And second of all, they are constantly reflecting upon their own life, on how their day was, and learning from their own mistakes, where they reacted too much, right? So self introspection is will greatly help a person who has high level of rajas within them. Okay. So let's come to the last quality, which is your tamas quality. So it is the lowest of all of the three. Tamas is the least preferred quality, and even though that is the case, most of us suffer from a very tamasic kind of attitude. So lazy, very lazy and lethargic. When you wake up in the morning, you put your alarm on snooze again and again because you don't want to get up. So it is the tamas, the heaviness is the tamasic quality, right? The mind is very dull. The body is very lethargic at that point of time. So when you if generally this is how you function, you feel very lazy, mentally very dull. So you are more of tamas personality type. So you can work on tamas as well, right? So let me enlist a few more qualities of tamas, right? So tamas is like arising due to ignorance. Okay. So this person is not going to be spiritual at all. You will make certain people in your life, and when you mention that you are doing yoga or you are, doing something spiritual, they will be like, I don't believe in this. This doesn't work. So they are still in that loop of ignorance, because tamas is very high, right? So they will not appreciate such practices a lot. Okay. And it is because of the ignorance, right? So there is a lot of ignorance within them. They're not in touch with the reality. So they have this tendency to totally zone out and not entertain such schools of thought or practices, right? Then a lot of darkness, delusion, negative thinking, such person, they will see a lot of physical also, on physical level also, the body is not well, right? So it's in a state of disease, right? There is a lot of negative thinking. So the mind is, constantly, even if they want to work towards it, the mind constantly keeps pulling them down. There are no positive thoughts or no space for positive thoughts. They think that the worst of the situation is going to happen. The worst thing that can come out of the situation, that is going to happen, right? So very tamasic quality, right? They're very apathetic. You will meet a lot of people who are quite apathetic. They're indifferent basically. Very cold people, right? So there's a lot of anxiety and ignorance overall, and they ignore their own spiritual nature also. So they in general also do not prefer spirituality, but they even ignore their own spiritual nature, right? That they are something more than whatever the physical world has to offer, or there's something beyond whatever they can see and hear, and all the things that the senses can perceive, right? It is connected to sleep. So tamas generally dominates when you are about to go to sleep. So during night time, tamas quality is activated, right? And rajas is generally active. Like after sattva, rajas becomes active. Okay. So when morning time is sattvic time, then you go out on your living, right? So you have to do particular tasks during the day in order to make that source of pain. So the activeness in the body stays because of the rajas quality. And then when you have to rest or go into a state of sleep, that is when tamas comes in and dominates so that the body and mind can relax. Okay, so they are not negative or positive, but they serve their own purposes. If left unchecked, they are going to hamper your journey, right? So if you suppose if you totally go into the flow of tamas quality, you will not feel like waking up, you will not feel like showing up on your mat, right? Your practice, you won't be able to keep that up a lot, right? You will again and again face a lot of like resistance from your own body and mind to show up on the mat. It becomes very difficult, right? Um, so for a Tamasic person, what can be done is a great practice for Tamasic person. One is Shaktarma. So you feel you fall in this category, practice a lot of Shaktarma and do the practices daily. So all the practices that you can do daily, do them daily. Okay, it's going to help you to break that mind, like flow of the mind that is very bad. Then practice of asana, again very good practice for tamasic people. So rather than making them sit for meditation or making them sit for pranayam practices, first make them move the body a lot, make their body active, right? Somebody who was very depressed or in a very negative like loop of thinking, you will see that they won't want to step out, even out of their room. You have to, push them to do those things. So asana practice, shatkarma practice, these are great practices for them, right? So anything that will make them more active is going to help with tamas. If you are a combination of any two of these, so you will see that overall, if you look back, you will see that you are like mostly a combination of two. So try to recognize which combination you are and work towards moving in the direction of the sattvic quality. So homework for today, two homeworks you have. One is that you have to take out time to reflect which one you are, like which category you fall in. So you can be a combination of sattva and tamas, or rajas and sattva, or rajas and tamas, like this, or you can be in either extremes, rajas, sattva, tamas. So you will be a better judge of which category you fall. So one thing is take out 5 to 10 minutes today to reflect upon which one is more dominant on you, and I have already told you a lot of things that you can do to work on. Second thing that you can do is where during the day you will see your mind also goes through different cycles. So when rajas is active, mind also becomes very, very active. So when this begins to happen and you begin to get very irritable or very angry, so recognize it's the rajasic quality which has overtaken, and it will help you to detach from that situation a little. Okay, so as soon as you say, okay, right now rajas is active within me, that is why this is happening, you will see that you are able to, somewhere navigate through that quality, right? So these two things you can do in your day-to-day life, and you can apply the concept of three gunas to your own being and the way in which you deal with situations. So one thing I forgot to mention, tamas food and the color of tamas. These two things are. So color of tamas is generally black. So if you wear a lot of black every day, and you want to, work more towards the sattvic quality, stop wearing black. Like try to eliminate as much black as possible from your life. Okay? Clothes, be it anything around you, if your walls are black, try to get some other color which is going to make you feel. You will see a difference, a shift in your own mood and state of mind, right? So eliminating black and tamasic food. Most of the food we consume today in city life, packed food, preservatives, food which has preservatives, food which has, as we say, mixture of a lot of things, like milk is not pure milk anymore, right? So that kind of food which has a lot of preservatives, a lot of pesticide and chemicals added to it, junk food, right? Tea, coffee, alcohol, smoke, all of these are tamasic. They're going to induce the tamasic nature within you. When you drink, like consume alcohol, then you will see the mind becomes very dull and you just want to go and sleep, right? So all of these things, when you start eliminating this kind of food from your life. So not one thing is going to just inducing one thing is not going to help you, right? So start changing your lifestyle. When you want to work on the guna and moving towards sattva, you have to start changing your lifestyle from the food you eat, the way in which you like dress up, to your surroundings. Everything you will have to restructure basically when you are working on going towards the sattva, right? So eliminate all the junk food, fast food from your life. Stop going for chips and packed food or food which is like made frozen food or food which is made yesterday you are eating today. So all of these things they are going to like that same food because it was cooked earlier, right? It's going to next day when it is consumed it becomes clumsy, right? Even if it is sattvic food that you consume. So cook timely, right? Make fresh food for yourself. Try to eat as many fruits and vegetables as possible. Boiled vegetables, especially if you can add that to your diet. So all of these things are going to help you immensely in improving your yoga practice and in general seeing a change in your own life. Right? So any doubts so far in all the three qualities there are? Feel free to unmute yourself. Ask question.
I don't have any doubts about the qualities, but if you can please remind us Purusha and Prakriti.
Yeah, okay. So if you go into Sankhya philosophy, the philosophy which is basically forming the theoretical background of yoga philosophy. So it says that everything has these two components, Purush and Prakriti. So right now, when I was talking of the three qualities, this is the quality of the Prakriti, right? Purush does not have this quality. So within us, you can see it as the consciousness that we talk of, right? It is just a witness of everything that is happening, but there is a portion of you where the reaction is taking place, right? So the Prakriti is the one which is highly influenced by the three gunas, right? And then the evolution process it took place. If you search about this like on Google or you consult certain books on Sankhya philosophy, you will find the exact division, how everything is being divided. Like, when I talked of Chitta, I talked of Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. So Prakriti, has these divisions. Like this, it has 20, like I think 24 divisions it has. Like when the evolution process started, because Purusha came in contact with Prakriti, right? So Prakriti is where the evolution started taking place, right? And this portion is influenced by the three gunas. So we were mostly talking of Prakriti. We were talking of Prakriti when we are talking of the three cosmic qualities. What is happening in the Prakriti portion of our, right? So like Buddhi is one part that comes as a process of evolution. Then your Ahankar or ego, we talked of that. So that's also one part, right? So like this, you will find all the divisions, right? How your manas, when we talk of chitta, we talk of the mind also. So mind is also a product of the Prakriti part, not the Purush part, right? So Sankhya believes everything is a combination of these two things coming together, right?
Thank you for your explanation.
So if you are interested, you can read up more about Sankhya philosophy. It will only help you in your yoga philosophy classes.
Yes, thank you.
So there are no doubts. I'll just take a very short example to explain the three gunas to you, right? So how we consider certain things to be sattvic in nature, but they can have a hint of rajas and tamas also. So like charity, right? Charity is considered to be a very good deed, right? If I am, giving some form of energy, it could be money or clothes or something like that, and I'm donating it, it is very good thing, right? But it can also have hints of the other gunas. How? So let's take this example. So suppose I believe in some cause and I am contributing towards it, right? The first thing is, okay, I will contribute in the form of money, right? So very common example when we donate, right? So one thing is when I am making this donation, one day I was walking on the road and there was a beggar, right? And I felt really like drawn to give that person the money, right? So I am again doing charity, right? Because I saw somebody who was uh, having or who was suffering, and I wanted to give that person money. So I gave that person money, right? So it is an act of charity, but it will have tamasic quality infused with it. Why? Because giving the money, it's sattvic. But then the person that I'm giving the money to, you will see mostly people who beg, they have their own community and they end up using that money not for food, right? They end up using that money for other things. And I've seen this thing a lot of times, especially in India, sometimes what we do is we buy them food, right? So what they do is they have this whole pact sign with the food place that the food that we give them, they give it back to that place and they take money in return, right? So there is a hint of tamas along with this charity. Why? Because I'm completely ignoring the reality right now. I'm ignoring that that money most probably is not going to be used for the correct thing, right? So there is this sense of ignorance that I have when I am giving this money, right? And even if the person ends up using it for the right thing, there is this sense of ignorance. Why? Because I cannot give that person a monthly income, right? So I am giving that person money for one time. So it's going to serve them for a while and then it's going to again exhaust. Like, we also need to earn every day we are doing our job and earning money, right? So it gets exhausted after a while. We use it for our needs and it gets exhausted. So there is this tamasic quality infused in the sattvic act, right? So how is Rajas induced in this? So suppose I go for charity, I really believe in something. Suppose I believe in XYZ thing and I want to give that NGO or organization my money, right? So I give that organization that money, right? And with the expectation that when I went to them and I was just like, okay, how do you take money and everything? So they told me that, when you donate above this amount, your name will be shown over here and we are going to announce your name and everything. So I got very happy and I already believed in that cause, so I went and donated, right? So when I went and donated, after that, the day on which my name was supposed to be shown and it was supposed to be announced in a particular function, that did not happen, right? So Rajasic person will get very, very disturbed by this thing because right now the purpose of donation, even though it is charity, it has this selfish nature behind it. So it's sattvic and Rajasic. Giving money is sattvic, but when the intention that your intention basically when you do it. So be aware of that intention, right? So when you donate, the intention is that way that it hurt you when that XYZ thing wasn't delivered to you, right? So maybe my name wasn't shown, right? Or wasn't announced. So it is going to, so Rajasic person is very, very selfish in that sense. They're going to donate for like with a sense of attachment once. And Sattvic person, mostly you will see people whose donations or their way of service is mostly towards spiritual practices, right? So when they put their energy or their resources towards sattvic practices like yoga. So suppose somebody donates for yoga or somebody donates for some meditation to increase the meditation practice somewhere to aid that place to teach meditation or teach these things more and more. So they know that their donation is sattvic. Why? Because you are giving the person a tool to navigate through life. So it will not get exhausted with time if the person is practicing, right? They are going to get free from their suffering. So entire goal of meditation practices of yoga is to increase the amount of people who get free from all their sufferings, right? it's a very sattvic form of charity when you put your energy or resources towards some things which you know are tools which will lead to ultimate freedom rather than just the momentary, just navigating through the momentary things in life like food and clothes, right? So this is how, you know, the same thing which we consider to be very, very good in nature can have hints of other qualities as well. So you know your intention next time you are donating or next time you are thinking of serving somewhere, be very aware of what intention you have in mind and how you are stepping into doing that thing, right? So you can also see this in this form, right? So any doubts? Again, one last time I'm asking, any doubts in any of this, the Trigunas?
No, ma'am.
Oh. No doubts? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's end today's session. It's already time is up and your therapy class is there. So Om Shanti to everyone. I will see you all in your pranayam class in the afternoon. Om Shanti and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.